Okay, Stoic part 4, the last part. Talk about excess reactants and how to calculate them. So this part gets a little bit tricky for people, so you need to pause, rewind, go back, look at it again, do that. Make sure you write it down so you have an example problem. If we know that which of the reactants is a limiting reactant, we know that one will run out first. And then we know that the other one, assuming there's just two, there'll be an excess. If there's more than two, whichever one's not limiting, all the other ones will be excess. But sometimes we need to determine how much of that excess reactant there's going to be left over in the end. So here's how you figure that out. Okay, so now the question's similar to the last one we did, but now we're asking how much of your excess reactant will you have if you have 46 grams of lithium chloride and 68 grams of bromine reacting. So just like before, we determined that bromine was our limiting reactant from the work we did below. So this is the same work we had in the last slide. We determined we could make 38.47 grams of chlorine, and 30.17 grams of chlorine from the bromine. We found out because bromine can make less chlorine, that makes it our limiting reactant, which then means lithium chloride is our excess reactant. So what we need to do to find excess reactant is subtract the amount of chlorine we could have made from the lithium chloride minus the amount we actually made. So 38.47 minus 30.17. Then take the amount we did not make but could have, that 8.3 grams down here of chlorine. Now we're going to work backwards back to our excess reactant. First, let's do a joke. What's a chemist's favorite plant? A Stoichiometry. Bad, I know, but go with it. So, we have 8.3 grams of chlorine. Awesome! But we want the excess reactant, reactants being on the left, we have a product, so we need to use the stoichiometry to turn it back into our excess reactant. So 8.3 grams of chlorine, we need to cancel our grams of chlorine and turn it into moles of chlorine. So now that we're in moles of chlorine, we're closer, but we need to change it into our reactant. Since we're in moles, we can do a mole ratio setup by canceling moles of chlorine and getting moles of lithium chloride. Remember, those 1 and 2 numbers there come from the coefficients in our balanced equation that you should have written down. It was on the last slide. We don't want moles of lithium chloride. We want to find out how much, which means grams. The amount of grams of lithium chloride we do by canceling the moles of lithium chloride, going to grams using its molar mass, which you should have from the earlier problem, and solving the math. So we're back to having 9.92 grams of excess lithium chloride that didn't react, which means we wasted it. It's sitting there, but nothing ever happened with it, which is kind of useless. But that's how you find excess reactant. Look it over if you need to again. Use this example as you do other ones on your practice worksheets or book problems, or whatever you choose to do. You've got it. That's the last piece. Everything you should need, I think, for the test.